All right, and we are here with Theodore Hansen from Bank of America. I can go ahead and open up his PowerPoint for you guys.
All right, you ready for me?
Yes.
All right, we'll start off at the beginning, kind of obvious here, but what we wanted to talk through is, I think, some useful information to help you kind of get an understanding of why FAFSA and kind of the steps you need to take, your student needs to take to get enrolled, or if you are the student, you need to take to go through this information. You know, I'm so old that I had to fill this out in paper and block letters and mail it in. Luckily, that's not necessarily the way you have to do it. You've got some digital options now, so it does make it a little sleeker, a little easier, and there were some updates just this year to make it even better, even easier. If you want to go to slide 2, I'll go ahead and get started. One quick thing to note, if you are seeking financial aid to attend higher education, just about every single U.S. college or university uses this one financial aid form, and this is it. FAFSA, this will automatically count towards and be available to any university you apply to. So this is kind of the one-stop shop. This is a great place to start. We're going to cover some of the things you need to know before filling it out. If you want to go to slide 3, please. What's FAFSA stand for? I can't tell you how many times I'm going to get that wrong throughout the course of this meeting. Free application for federal student aid. It's a form that's designed to help colleges get a better understanding and a picture of you, the student, and as well as your family's financial picture. Some of that stuff plays into determining who they want to take in. You know, in a positive way, they're going to look at your full picture, look at your parents' income, and if you are a parent, certainly look at your income as well. We'll cover kind of specifically which parent and how that works out. What does that student aid, those federal financial aid, what does it cover? Pretty much anything having to do with education. So like your books, certainly your tuition, that's going to be the big one. Could be your room and board. So dorms, things like that. All of your supplies, transportation, even dependent care. So if you look at it kind of macro level, in 2017, the U.S. Department of Education awarded over $120 billion with a B in grants, work study funds, low interest loans, and other financial aid all through this FAFSA process. I'm going to go to slide 4, please.
All right.
So, like I mentioned earlier, which schools use this form? Nearly 6,000 schools use FAFSA in 2017 to determine kind of the needs of the students they're going to be accepting, get a better understanding of the financial aid that you'll need. What that means, because it's kind of a uniform thing that's accepted at every university or looked at by every university, you really only need to fill one form out per student. So you don't have to fill a different one out for a different university. That's not really how it works. Just fill this one out. It'll be available to any university you apply to. You can certainly, on this form, list more than one university. If you're thinking about a couple universities, that will certainly fast track the information for them, but it would be available for any university. Even if you don't think you qualify, you know, the amount of aid you're going to receive is going to be based on a number of factors, and we'll get into more of that here in a little bit. But fill this out. It's a good idea to fill it out, and that way you're not leaving anything out, no meat on the bone, so to speak. If there's financial aid that you would have maybe get awarded that you wouldn't expect to get awarded, you'd rather know than not know, I guess. And you go to slide 5, we'll talk a little bit about timetables. As far as when you can start filling this out, the new form, like I said, recently updated, is going to open December 1st. So that's when you can start filling this out. I would start as soon as possible. I'll cover that a little bit more detail. But things to bear in mind, you've got to refile this every year. They're going to ask you for some information. We'll cover those specifics here in a little bit. But the earlier you fill it out, the sooner the college is going to get it, the sooner you are going to know kind of what you're awarded and what your costs are going to be. The deadline is June 30th. It opens December 1st, and you've got 6 months to fill it out. But you can, even after June, if there's things that change or you need to make a correction, you can do that until September 14th, middle of September. So I say, it says here June 30th, right, as the deadline. Keep in mind that different universities may have different deadlines, like they want to get it in obviously before September or June 30th. So keep those in mind. Those will be specific to the universities in which you're applying. So like I mentioned before, it's a good idea to get started as soon as possible, so you're not scrambling at the end. You're getting everything submitted. You get a full picture and understanding of what you're going to be eligible for. Quick note here, Texas schools recommend submission by January 15th. So that comes pretty quick. You got 45 days to get that done for Texas schools. All right, go to slide 6, please.
All right.
All right. So what information are you going to need? I would start preparing now, like December 1st. Feels like forever away, but it's going to be here before you know it. I do not know what happened this year as it is. But a couple steps that you can take to be ready for it. Creating a studentaid.gov account. If you don't already have one of those, that's going to be kind of your step one. What that's going to do is it's going to kind of give you a username and password. It's going to also alert the tax authority, IRS, so they know that you're going to need access to your income statements or your parents' income statements, if you're the parent, yours, and which one, if there are divorces and things like that. So it's going to kind of get all of those, that information in a row, so you're not having to wait. That's going to be your first step. So create that studentaid.gov account. And then the next step, determine your dependency status. If you're a young kid going to school, like I was, typically your parents are going to be, your provider. A lot of ways that can be. It could be a parent, it could be a spouse. And if so, if they're helping support you, then this will walk you through kind of how this works out. But that person who's supporting you is going to have to complete information on the FAFSA form as well. So for example, if my father's supporting me, they're going to need to check information on my father. So he's going to need to create one as well, and fill out and provide some information. A good tool to use to get information about that, if you're a dependent student, a younger student who's getting assistance, then use the Who's My FAFSA Parent. It's a wizard that'll help you kind of go through quick questions and help you identify which parent's going to be, which parent you're going to have to require to use, kind of who your main benefit provider is, rather. Quick note down there, just trying to hammer that home. Texas schools, they want to get it by January 15th, so you don't have to wait till December 1 to do the studentaid.gov and get that set up ahead of time. As far as gathering needed documents, some of the things that you'll need if you're a student, you'll need parents' social security numbers, federal income tax returns, so those 1040s, W-2s, income records, things like bank statements, investment records such as 401ks, kind of retirement accounts, liquid assets, things like that. Also, your parents can certainly help fill this out. If you're a dependent student, they're going to probably provide you with some of this stuff. That said, I mean, hey, you could enjoy the experience of buying a home one day, because that's pretty much what the process is for that as well. And improving your income, same process, pretty much throughout life. For a tip, it can take a few hours. That's kind of on the high side. So that's going to take a few hours if you don't have any information or insight into what you need. You find out what you need with this form. That's kind of the benefit of coming here today and covering this information. You know the kind of information you're going to need, so you can get that together ahead of time, and then get that submitted as soon as you're up there doing the form. You'll have all that information readily available. Yeah, if you can go to slide 7, please.
All right.
All right, so I alluded to this earlier. There were quite a few changes to the FAFSA form. They're actually running a pilot, kind of a beta test run on that October 1st. But that's going to be open, I think, October 1st through December 1st, and that's when December 1st when it opens for everybody. You have to be invited to do that beta testing, so obviously would have been notified already if that were the case. Some of the changes, in no particular order, but these are some of the more important ones. Both students and parents must create that student aid account, that studentaid.gov. You do that to get your FSA ID, and that's going to be, like I said, just a username and password configuration, but that's going to be required for the student and parents when we're using income here. Allows at least 3 days, because in that new process, like I mentioned earlier, the Social Security Administration will require some verification on those FSA IDs before they can provide tax information. It's going to allow them to access 1040s. So, you know, the information you're submitting, they're going to have access to it on the back end. The SSA will be able to provide that for your parents, etc. So keep that in mind. It makes it pretty streamlined, but they're going to have all the facts and details prior years. Student parents, you got to log into the FAFSA separately. You're going to have to each complete your own sections. So the student completes theirs, the parent completes theirs if they're a contributor. If parents are divorced or separated, the parent who provides the most financial support is going to be the one who completes the FAFSA. So before that was different. Now, to determine in divorce situations, the parent who provides the most support in the last calendar year specifically will complete the FAFSA. The number of students a family has enrolled in college will no longer factor into the FAFSA calculation. That's important to note. In prior years, you know, if you had 4 kids in college, that would be taken into consideration, presumably to help provide additional support. That's no longer the case. The net worth of family farms and small businesses will now be required to be included as part of that application. So they're going to be including small business income from parents. They're going to be including family farm income from parents. The expected family contribution, what that becomes, they call it the student aid index. So whatever my parents contributing, that's now the student aid index. And how they do that calculation is they just subtract that amount from the cost of attending. So if college is going to cost me $100,000 this year, don't freak out, just pulling a number out of the air. But for example, $100,000 this year, the parent's going to provide $50,000, then they're going to look at, giving you access to $50,000 to help cover costs. They're going to kind of determine the cost of attending, what that university is going to be, going to cover you the rest, minus your parents' contributions. But it's no longer divided by the number of students a family has in college. That's how it was done before that calculation. Determine the amount of contribution, back that out of the calculation, divided by the number of kids in college. That's no longer the case. So for what ends up happening with that is most families with more than one student in college tend to be eligible for less financial aid. Okay, and slide 8, please. All right, additional changes. There's a lot of them, so I'm trying to kind of go slow here. Families with an adjusted gross income of $60,000 and own farms or small businesses with fewer than 100 employees will have to include that income, the income coming from their farmer businesses, as part of their financial assets that can be used to pay for college and reduce their needs. So meaning that type of income will be added, reduce your overall awarded amount. The nice thing about the new form is shortened. It's been streamlined quite a bit. And the hope is that it leads to increased completion rates. It's easy to get frustrated. It's going to ask you for a million things. You know, the financial documents we've gone over, streamlining that form as much as possible kind of helps ensure people get through it. NerdWallet did a study. It estimated that of the high school students who graduated in 2018, they missed out on a total of $2.6 billion in available financial aid because they didn't finish that FAFSA form. So stick it out, finish it. There's a lot of meat on the bone, a lot of money out there. Basically, in a nutshell, lower income families will be eligible for more aid under this new formula. Larger income protection allowances. What that means is those allowances cover a family's basic need, daily living expenses. Those are excluded from the financial aid eligibility formula. So, yes, I have this much money. This is my income. This is the amount that I can contribute. They're going to back out those daily living expenses. I know that's kind of a welcome news after inflation the last few years. This is going to allow larger allowances that the income that students and parents can contribute. So it should increase your financial aid eligibility. Automatic Pell Grants. Those are based on income and household size. So Pell Grants are one type of grant that you get access to by filling out FAFSA. So based on income and household size, families making less than 175% and single parents making less than 225% of the federal poverty level, they're going to receive the maximum award available. Now, the federal poverty level, if you Google that, it's based upon number of people in the family. So that dollar amount changes based on the number of family members. They're going to get the maximum award. Minimum grants are going to be applied or guaranteed to students from a household earning, as long as you're below 275, 325, 350, or 400% of that poverty level, depending on the household structure, meaning married, single parent, etc. Based on that structure, it's gonna change what that number is. Let's go to slide 9, please.
Okay.
Another change is a restored Pell eligibility. So they fixed this from what was removed. It had been in here in the past. They removed it. They're putting it back. This is just saying that incarcerated students and students have been convicted of drug-related offenses will be eligible again for financial aid. A negative contribution score, that can certainly happen. Family contribution amounts can, be negative. Now, I can't afford to help my son, help my daughter at all with college expenses. I'm barely getting by as it is, or it could be negative going through those calculations. Now, financial aid's never going to exceed the cost of attending college. They're not going to give you extra money. But that negative score could certainly be used to distinguish among the neediest students. Universities and state institutions, they're going to target based on need-based. So you may get additional support there throughout that whole process of application and acceptance to the universities. And the final slide, slide 10, if you move there, please. It just goes over how do you file. U.S. Department of Education, they allow you to do it online, not like paper and mail it in like old people like me had to do. Makes a huge difference. To submit it digitally, you'll need that, again, federal student aid, that FSID account. So submit that now, you'll have it. As far as a tip, once you close the form out, you can certainly check in with the school's financial aid office about their timeline for notifying you about financial aid packages. Again, every school is going to be different, but communicating with their financial aid office of the universities that you're interested in is certainly going to get you the needed information about when you can expect to hear back. Once you understand how much financial aid you may receive, it's going to certainly help you in knowing what you need to save for college expenses. And schools cost different amounts, right? And it's going to help you decide which school is the right fit based on your available income, your available aid, and total cost. So obviously that will help you decide. I think that's it. Do you want to wrap it up now and then go to questions, or open it up for that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me go ahead and see. Well, that was our presentation. If anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and put it in either the Q&A box or send it as a message. While you are doing that, I'll talk about some upcoming programming. We have Money Talks with UNT over here at Haggard Library on November 25th from 3 to 4. And then we have an All About Loans. It's a virtual program on December 2nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And that will be virtual. And then you can go onto our website, planolibrary.org, for more information on programming. I saw someone's hand go up. We are not able to unmute, but if you are able to type in your question, we'll be able to answer it that way. A couple of more things. We have some databases under our research and learn. So planolibrary.org/research and learn. We have Learning Express Library, which you can find practice test tutorials and ebooks. LinkedIn Learning, which is online training courses created by industry professionals. And then Blue Career, which is Learn a Trade, provides in-depth information on skilled trade industries and provides training resources for those seeking to build their trade knowledge. I think I saw a question in the chat. It looks like someone's asking for this presentation to be emailed. We may not be able to email it out, but you can look at our Plano Library YouTube page, and this will be on there in a few days. And then someone is asking, what does FAFSA renewal look like every year? Is it the same thing as the initial filing?
Yeah, you're already going to have that FSA ID, so that part's a little easier. You're going to have that username, password. But as far as income, yeah, that's going to be presumably different year to year. So that part is, you kind of go through all that again, verify the previous year's tax information, income information. That part's all the same.
Okay, it looks like we should be okay. Thank you so much, Theodore from Bank of America, for presenting for us on FAFSA Basics. And we got some thank yous in the chat as well.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for your interest. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.